Good Saturday morning. I am not Tom Schmitz, but this is the Saturday Sports Page. I'm Buddy Martin. Glad to be with you today on a big sports weekend. Tom Schmitz is away, attending a funeral of a friend. Austin Tatman is here with us in the studio, doing all the button stuff and producing and finishing up a stellar 3 days. He's had about as good a weekend as Billy Donovan has the last couple of weeks. So, Austin, good to be with you again, my friend.
Good morning to you, buddy.
A lot of production work and back going on. We got lots of folks to talk to and hear from today. This is, of course, Final Four weekend. I don't care if you're not a basketball fan. You have to get kind of pumped about this. And here's my dilemma. Tonight, the Silver Springs International Film Festival is having its great big dinner with all the awards for the movies, 200-foot table downtown on Magnolia in front of the Marion Theater. We bought our tickets, not realizing what the night would be, and it's going to be a great entertaining evening of 10 celebrity chefs with designer tables and food, and all the movie makers are going to be there, and it's going to be a great night. Problem is 6:09. What happens, Austin?
The Gators tip off their game against Connecticut.
Exactly. Now, we've had some really great days in downtown Ocala. I've never seen quite so many people excited. Running into people last night like Sandy McBride, David Midget. Everybody had a smile on their face last night. Just a terrific evening. The band, Serotonin, played last night. The downtown was full. There were movies being shown at the theater made by movie makers. There was at the Brick, there was a salon or panel of directors and producers like Mark Emery with free to the students who are in film. And just an all-around great feeling. And tonight, of course, is going to be a spectacular one because we're going to have the dinner, and then tomorrow will be the showing of the winning films, the best of the best tomorrow, 1 to 5, I believe it is. 5 hours. Anyway, it's right in there. You look on your springsfilmfest.com, and it will cap off what has been a absolutely sensational start to a festival. Having said that, I love that. I was very honored to be a part of a film that was made by Brendan Martin and Mark Emery, narrated by myself here on this show, and it ran on Thursday night, and it was met with great appreciation. And it was about Marion County and Ocala. Thrilled to be on the silver screen, see your work up there as Brendan and Mark did. I was a small part of it. However, I got to be honest. Tonight's the big night.
Yes, you have to. You have to tune in. It's what we've been waiting for. Besides the national championship game, these two games are the biggest games of the season for college basketball fans.
And so many storylines. We've covered a lot of them this week. And you've done a yeoman job of going back and pulling some of the better comments we've had from people. Here's the list of people we may hear from if we have time today on the Saturday Sports Page. Of course, Tim Roseford and Bob Herring will talk about golf. But in terms of this basketball, assistant coach Matt McCall. How about Matt McCall coming on board with us and doing what he's been doing the last couple of weeks?
Every time he brings something new, he brings something insightful and kind of lets us have an interesting look in that we wouldn't normally have.
Yeah, we're gonna cue it up and play him first, but he, of course, Ocala's own Matt McCall. He's the assistant coach of Billy Donovan. He called us right there from Arlington yesterday. We'll be talking to him Monday if Florida wins tonight. And by the way, I have my prediction set to go on that. We'll hear from Matt McCall. Dave Pigalore, our buddy down at Local 6, he weighs in on that particular situation. And our curmudgeon friend Joe Williams had his comments yesterday. He's from Mile High Sports in Denver. We'll see who he likes. He's already made his predictions, but we'll replay those. So that's all coming to you if we can get it in this half hour. I want to make a couple of comments first, though, before we do that. This particular Final Four has so many interesting storylines, and you can't lose sight of the fact that in order to get to the championship game, Florida must first beat UConn, and Kentucky first must beat Wisconsin. But to think that the two SEC teams will be playing for the championship on Monday night after all the bad bashing they took for their conference is just absolutely remarkable. But there's so many things in between to talk about that, including Shabazz Napier and his team, the matchups tonight. You know we're going to see a lot of Casey Hill tonight. He didn't play in that game on December the 2nd because he's young and fast. He's got fresh legs. They can run him at Napier. He's quick on transition, and he can wear down, I think, the guards a little bit because he can take some heat off Scotty Wilbekin, who will man up on Napier, which will be the matchup, in my opinion, of the Final Four. In fact, I meant to bring it with me. I'm going to give, if people want to call in and give us the point differential between what they think Napier and Wilbekin will get. Like, in other words, if you say Wilbekin will score 23 and Napier will score 20, that's a +3 for Wilbekin. So it's a plus or minus for Wilbekin in terms of just the points. Call us and give us your prediction. Wilbekin, if you think Napier's going to score more, then you say it's would be, let's say Napier would score 20 and Scotty score 15. That would be a -5 for Scotty. You know what I'm saying? Just give us your point differential. And then give us the score of the game. The person who comes closest, and if you'll take this down, we'll treat them next week. I'll get them a copy of the Boys of Florida. We'll get them a Marion Theater pass or two. We'll probably get them a Mojo gift card just for tonight's game, if you want to do that. So the number is 622-9622, the Common Control hotline, and that will be opened up after this commercial break if you want to call Austin. If you want to come on the air, fine. If you don't, that's okay. Just give us your picks, and we will, again, the point differential between Shabazz Napier of UConn and Scotty Wilbekin, who will score the most, and by how many, and then the score of the game tonight, and I've got my prediction as well. Before we go to break, you know, Austin, I gave you some numbers yesterday, some things about Florida situation in terms of just hard numbers, and I'm going to read a couple, and you give me your comments about this. This came from an article about the Miami Herald by Adam Beasley. I like to give full credit. Just a few little things about Billy Donovan, who is really so important to our city because of all the coaches who ever were at Florida. Billy Donovan has done more for Ocala than anybody has. Love Ron Zook and the fact that he's here with us now, but honestly, not even Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer together have done what Billy Donovan's done for us. Listen to this. At 48, Donovan is the winningest coach in Florida history. He's won 6 regular season conference titles in Gainesville, 3-time SEC tournament champion. Well, we know that. Gators have been ranked first nationally in 5 of his 18 seasons. Donovan has filled the O'Connell Center, drawing an average of 11,471 fans this season. That's not a basketball school, remember. That's up 79% from his first year as coach. And 9 of Donovan's players are gone to become first-round draft picks. Not included in that list, Udonis Haslem, who, of course, has had a great run with the Miami Heat. So, nice, just kudos to Billy Donovan. If you don't want to root for the Gators, you got to root for Billy Donovan and what he's done.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I mean, this guy basically has grown this Florida basketball program. Obviously, you knew it before Billy Donovan. I really didn't, but has grown this basketball program into a power. And now people are talking about, is it a basketball school? Is it a football school? Well, it doesn't really matter. But still, just to have that in talking, I think you have to look at his pedigree and learning from Rick Pitino, and you look down, you see Billy Donovan having success, and now Rick Pitino's son, is having success in Minnesota. So I think while a lot of that can be contributed to Rick Pitino, obviously it bears most on Billy Donovan just because of the success he's had. And I think that you can contribute Billy staying to Florida because of Rick Pitino, because Rick Pitino went to the Knicks, he went to the NBA, he saw what it was like, and Billy later said that it was really Rick Pitino that convinced him to stay at Florida.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about this is Billy Donovan had a chance to go to Kentucky numerous times to coach up there.
Yeah,
he of course was an assistant to Billy, to Rick. But did you see the video of the senior Pitino and the junior Pitino in the NIT finals?
Yes.
When in the final few minutes, Rick was standing right behind Richard, the coach at Minnesota,
right,
and basically told him what to do, told him to foul. He later said, someone said, well, you said you weren't going to foul in that situation, which he did, and Minnesota was able to convert it. And of course, SMU wasn't able to convert it, and Minnesota won the game. But they asked Richard, said, I'm only 31, I have to listen to my elders. And his dad was standing right behind him, foul him.
Right.
as a dad watching one of your kids play sports, I can tell you it is something that makes you uncontrollable almost. So, but anyway, that was interesting. Okay, so here's the question right now. And to be honest, Florida's got a great team, T-E-A-M. Kentucky's got great talent. This is such an interesting contrast of styles. And if you look at that and said, would you take Kentucky's team for Florida's team? No, you wouldn't. But real honestly, if you said, which Florida Gators right now could start for this Kentucky team with talent, that would be a very difficult thing. You can see what kind of talent Kentucky's got. Kentucky has more talent. I think there's one, maybe two guys in this lineup, maybe, that could start for Kentucky. Otherwise, I don't think so. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll hear from Coach Matt McCall, who's up in Arlington, Texas, about to tee it up tonight against the UConn Huskies, and he'll have some comments about how they prepare for the game. Coming up next right here on the Saturday Sports Page with Austin Statman Tatman. I'm Buddy Martin, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, the new old-fashioned bank. Let us introduce you to Okus, a simple way to bring your business online. Through this relationship, your business can have a fully functioning website in less than 30 minutes. We will also provide you support with social media, sales tracking, e-commerce, and online scheduling, which is all optimized for mobile users. Okus, now at Gateway Bank, Silver Springs Boulevard, Ocala. Come visit our technology center for your total small business solution. I'm Tom Ingram, and I'll see you there.
Men, do you know your testosterone level? Are you experiencing decreased energy levels or unusual sleeping problems? Have you noticed you have less strength or endurance, decreased sex drive, increased irritability or depression? If so, you may be experiencing problems with low testosterone. If you're interested in a free testosterone screening, please call Renstar Medical Research at 352-629-5800. Again, that number is 352-629-5800.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And so is State Farm agent Angie Lewis, working hard to serve her community as a citizen and insurance agent. Angie wants to help you as you adjust your insurance needs to your life. From everything to helping educate your teen driver to protecting your family against everyday risk. She wants to change the way you perceive insurance by developing relationships with her clients, which is why Angie and her staff are proud to be a part of so many good causes in Ocala. In turn, she has chosen to single out those who step up as leaders. Each month on the Voice of Ocala, Angie spotlights a good neighbor, saluting those who give exceptional service or do random acts of kindness to others. For this, Angie was written up in State Farm's national magazine. Angie also supports local businesses with a regular Biz Buzz. The Angie Lewis State Farm Agency is located at 1122 Northeast 36th Avenue, where visitors are always welcome and the coffee pot is always on.
You know, Austin, I'm sitting here at the computer looking at our Facebook page, and boy, we really need to tell more listeners about our Facebook page.
No, Tom, so you got it all wrong. Twitter is the new age.
What's a tweeter?
No, a Twitter, Tom. The Voice of Ocala has a Twitter.
We do? Well, how do we tell our listeners about that?
All they have to do is get the Twitter app or go to twitter.com, type in Voice of Ocala in the search box, and click follow.
All right, well, what's the tweeter do?
The Voice of Ocala's Twitter page updates all of its followers on the latest news, guests, giveaways, and contests.
Oh, okay. But couldn't listeners just tune in weekdays from 3 to 6 to 1370 AM and 96.3 FM, or even go to online at WOCA.com? Wouldn't that be easier?
Yeah, okay, maybe.
Ocala Radio, WOCA.
Whenever something big happens in Ocala and Marion County, Buddy Martin is there on the case.
John Gruden, ESPN Monday Night Football, today spoke to the group here at the Gateway Bank. I'm going to play a little game of just word association with you. One, Ocala.
Ocala is just a great community. It's a great group of people.
John Gruden coaching again.
One of these days I'll be back.
So remember, always check out Buddy Martin on the Voice of Ocala on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new Old Fashioned Bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA The Source.
If you didn't catch Around the Water Cooler on Buddy's sports page this week, here's what you missed.
There's not much pretty about Scotty Wilbekin deking on his cat and mouse routine, darting in and pulling back almost like a semi-do-over, dumping a ball screen to Will Uget, a guy who only shoots as a last resort. The heart of their offense, however, is their defense and their zone trap. They turn over the opposing player and attack their will. They've come a long way since Donovan had to scour the parking lots for a quorum to hold practice. And even though it took his former team manager to fill the void and walk-on Jacob Kurtz came aboard, he has wound up playing significant minutes. It is true, the experts say, that success is 90% about showing up. And the firm of Wilbekin, Young, Prather, and Uget, the seniors, will all graduate magna cum laude from Donovan's School of Grit and Determination.
Around the Water Cooler, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 o'clock on Buddy's sports page, right here on WOCA, The Source.
Are you in the process of planning your wedding reception? Or are you planning that birthday party for someone special? Or maybe you're just looking to throw a party for yourself? Are you in charge of this year's company outing and looking for something fresh and fun to do? Well, KT Entertainment is your answer to all those questions. We provide music, trivia, and karaoke for everybody's enjoyment. If you would like to get in touch with KT Entertainment and find out about our competitive prices, call us at 352-512-2611. That's 352-512-2611. Or you can find us on the web at kt4fun.com. That's kt4fun.com. So remember, whether it's a wedding reception, a party, or a company outing, it's KT Entertainment for all your karaoke, trivia, or musical needs.
I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry.
It's hard to stop that good picking right there. Before we go to our interview with Matt McCall from Arlington yesterday, I'm going to make a prediction. It's not a homework prediction. You know me. If I think they're going to lose, I say they're going to lose. I've thought about this a long time, and I truly believe this to be the case. This basketball team has yet to play its best game. And to use the metaphor of golf, when you go out and you play, you never hit everything in your bag well. If you're putting well, you don't chip well. If you're chipping and putting well, you don't drive well. If you're driving well, you don't hit your long irons. There's always something missing in your game. I've used this before on this show. I'm going to say it again. If Florida could hit every club in its bag tonight, and that includes free throws. They cannot go up there and shoot 48% on free throws or even 58. They got to knock down 60, 65% of their free throws. They have to get on the glass, offensive boards especially. They cannot turn the basketball over. Sometimes Casey Prather drives me a little crazy in that regard. If Frazier doesn't hit his threes, and we'll talk about his shooting because he says he thinks he's in good shape on them because of the backdrop at AT&T Center, then Wilbekin's got to pick it up. And they got to get the points from somebody else because one of the things they tend to do is get cold for stretches and can't score the ball. So they're going to be put backs by Patrick Young. He's got to get the rebounds and come back up with the ball, and they've got to have transition. Now look, no team gets it all the time. I'm just saying, if they come close to that, even 85 to 90% of what I just said, they will win this basketball game. Not just win it, they will win it by 8 to 10 points. I'm going to say double digits. Now, no one knows what Florida will do tonight. If Michael Frazier's hitting his shots, school's out. Because he could put up 25 real easy, and then just get his 8 boards. I'm going to get 8 points in 9 boards from Patrick Young, and Scotty can get his 12 or 13. He's averaged 16, and not turn the ball over. This team ought to win by 10. Now I'm not dismissing UConn. They're very quick, very good, and talented basketball team. I just didn't see them coming. I have no way. They 7th or 8th seed. I didn't see them getting this far. Yeah. But give them credit. They've done it.
I think they've gone through a couple of breaks. Obviously, Iowa State without George Niang and stuff like that. Obviously, they're a great basketball team led by the guards, Shabazz Napier and Ryan Boatwright. I'm thinking 12, buddy. I've been thinking all along.
You think 12?
I think it's going to be 12.
Really?
I think Billy has had enough time to create a scheme to kind of isolate Boatwright and Shabazz Napier to kind of stem their tide, if you will, and not let Napier go off like he has in the second half of games.
Well, they're going to play him tight with Casey Hill too, because with two bodies in there, they can afford to take a few fouls. You don't want to put him in a bonus too early, though. Put him in a bonus because he doesn't miss free throws. But if they run him, they run Casey Hill at him early, get him a little bit tired. So Scotty didn't have to run him down the court and chase him around all the time. That will be a big thing.
I think also to help on your back, the bench is going to be key, because I think if you get Pat Young some time on the bench with Chris Walker, you get good bench minutes. If you get Casey Hill with good bench minutes, I think that's going to be good. And I also think Michael Frazier's defense is going to be important. If he's not making shots and he's not playing defense, he's absolutely worthless. But if he can still play good defense, whether it be on Niels Gaffey or on Ryan Boatwright, I think that he still has an upside to him.
Yeah. All right. I don't know if we have our break. Do we have our news break at 26 still? We don't have it today, do we?
No.
27? Okay, good. Because I want to go ahead with this interview with Matt McCall if we can't get it all on. We spoke to Matt McCall after yesterday's workout, and one of the things I want to talk about after this is the shooting backdrop, which he didn't address. I want to talk about that afterwards, and what Frazier says about his shooting, because he's very key. But first, yesterday we spoke with assistant coach Matt McCall after Florida's workout up in Arlington, Texas.
Coach McCall, how are you?
Buddy, good, man. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for taking time. I know it's been kind of crazy for you, and you've been kind enough to share a minute or two to kind of let us know what's going on. Tell us what went on today.
Today, buddy, we had, because we're trying to squeeze 4 teams and practicing all in the big AT&T Center there. We had a pretty early wake up. We were up at 8 o'clock this morning and had a little breakfast here. And then we went over to UT Arlington, which is right next to the arena or football stadium, whatever you want to call it. It's even bigger than an arena. I guess you can't even call it that. So we went over to UT Arlington, had a closed practice, and then went over to the AT&T Center there, had some media responsibilities, and then had an open practice in the AT&T Center, and then now we're back and getting our guys off their legs and getting a little chance to relax a little bit.
I'm going to guess that today was light workout. You probably worked on your strategy all week long, and I'm sure just touch-ups tonight and getting everything going, getting loose and getting ready for a long day. It's always long, all day long, waiting for a game that night, isn't it?
Yeah, tomorrow will be a long day. We practiced hard today. We don't. The day before a game, we'll still go hard. I mean, we took some time off early in the week to let them get their legs back underneath them, and then we actually went pretty hard today. So went hard today. Give them some time to rest tonight, and then we'll shoot around in the morning. And by the time we turn around, it'll be time to throw the ball up in the air.
All right, so this is just a little bit different situation than it was last weekend. Another level up, Final Four. I got to think there's a certain little tingle in the air that you didn't have last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to continue to talk to our guys about, it's one game at a time. It's we're fortunate enough to get another 40 minutes of basketball life. That starts tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Obviously, we're faced with a big time challenge in UConn. Shabazz Napier is arguably the best guard in the country. We're excited for the opportunity. Now, we talked a lot to our team just about eliminating distractions, and this whole deal out here in the Final Four can be a distraction. I mean, you have every media outlet in the entire world is here covering this event, and there's people down in the lobby constantly trying to take pictures and sign autographs and everything, and we're here for a job, and we got to keep that in mind and keep that in perspective, and this is a business trip. and it'll be, one of the best celebrations of your life if we can focus and get the job done and take it one possession at a time. So that's all we're focused on right now.
Coach Matt McCall joins us. Just a couple more, Coach, let you go. But I want to go back to December 2nd and thinking about after that game and unfortunate way that game ended. And, of course, we know we talked about it last time you were that this is not a revenge game because this is something Coach Donovan told the team earlier. But to think about what has transpired in 30 games, from that moment to this moment, and how far you've come, describe what that journey has been like for 30 games, winning 30 in a row.
You know what? If you look back on it, it's hard to believe that we've won 30 games in a row. It's just Coach Donovan does an unbelievable job of keeping these guys focused on one game at a time, one possession at a time. So, but it's been quite the journey. Obviously, we've had some great games, some close games. Overtime win at Arkansas. Over a close game at home, close game at Ole Miss, came from behind to beat them. Close game versus Kentucky, and you go through the SEC tournament, and then obviously the NCAA tournament. So it's just got to continue, buddy, the trend of one game, one possession at a time. That's what's got us to this point, and that's what we need to continue to do here moving forward.
Big game tomorrow night. You mentioned Shavaz Napier. Of course, they've got Boatwright and Daniels. Good players, obviously. Got a great program there. And you can't look beyond that. But wouldn't it be something if the SEC wound up with the two teams in the finals after all the bad-mouthing of the league all year long?
Everyone wants to talk about it's a bad league. It's now all of a sudden you got two teams in the Final Four. It's a tribute to our league. It's a tribute to Kentucky. They've had a great year. Obviously, when you're dealing with a lot of freshmen, sometimes it can be a headache. And Calipari does an unbelievable job of getting those guys to buy in, and it's got them to this point. And we'll have to play ball and see what happens.
All right, so there you go. As Matt McCall, obviously, he is he's set and ready to go tonight, locked and loaded. And speaking of locked and loaded, the phrase used by Gator Zone to mention Michael Frazier, who's so key, because if he does his normal thing, this is a double-digit win for Florida. What about the backdrop, though? The problem is the big stadiums, AT&T Stadium, has got a big, almost cavernous background. Well, will it affect guys like Frazier shooting and Wilbekin? We'll tell you next right here on the Saturday Sports page after this timeout on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Whenever something big happens in Ocala and Marion County, Buddy Martin is there on the case.
John Gruden, ESPN Monday Night Football, today spoke to the group here at the Gateway Bank. I'm going to play a little game of just word association with you. One, Ocala.
Ocala is just a great community. It's a great group of people.
John Gruden coaching again.
One of these days I'll be back.
So remember, always check out Buddy Martin on the Voice of Ocala on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the Voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new Old Fashioned Bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
If you didn't catch Around the Water Cooler on Buddy's sports page this week, here's what you missed.
There's not much pretty about Scotty Wilbekin deking on his cat and mouse routine, darting in and pulling back almost like a semi-do-over, dumping a ball screen to Will Uget, a guy who only shoots as a last resort. The heart of their offense, however, is their defense and their zone trap. They turn over the opposing player and attack their will. They've come a long way since Donovan had to scour the parking lots for a quorum to hold practice. And even though it took his former team manager to fill the void and walk-on Jacob Kurtz came aboard, he has wound up playing significant minutes. It is true, as the experts say, that success is 90% about showing up. And the firm of Wilbekin, Young, Prather, and Uget, the seniors, will all graduate magna cum laude from Donovan's School of Grit and Determination.
Around the Water Cooler, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 o'clock on Buddy's sports page, right here on WOCA, The Source.
Are you in the process of planning your wedding reception? Or are you planning that birthday party for someone special? Or maybe you're just looking to throw a party for yourself. Are you in charge of this year's company outing and looking for something fresh and fun to do? Well, KT Entertainment is your answer to all those questions. We provide music, trivia, and karaoke for everybody's enjoyment. If you would like to get in touch with KT Entertainment and find out about our competitive prices, call us at 352-512-2611. That's 352-512-2611. Or you can find us on the web at kt4fun.com. That's KT, the number 4, fun.com. So remember, whether it's a wedding reception, a party, or a company outing, it's KT Entertainment for all your karaoke, trivia, or musical needs.
All right, shootout tonight at the AT&T Stadium. If you played basketball, I know you did. I played a little bit. Didn't earn a high school letter, believe it or not, in basketball. Wasn't that good, but did earn a letter. I fancy myself, if anything, I was a shooter, okay? I'd like to shoot the basketball. When I'm not a very good handler, average passer, average defense, but I love to shoot the basketball. When you go to a stadium or a gymnasium, a normal gymnasium doesn't really faze you. But when you look at, when I started playing dome games, like I was at the first dome game ever played in college basketball, Houston, UCLA. I was at that game.
Right.
And even the sound of the ball dribbling the basketball on the floor and the shooting of the ball against those glass backboards, that big background, there's no field of vision. There's nothing, and it bothers a lot of people. Did you ever have that experience?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Especially in summer games when I go to showcases and AAU tournaments and stuff like that, and when they be played on big basketball courts where there's 4 or 5 games going on in one arena, it's really weird whenever you come from playing in a gym where you have the backdrop right there, and then all of a sudden you have this huge big area that you're having to look behind, and the lay person doesn't think that it affects you, but even the height of the arena, even the length behind the basket, really can affect the shooter. But I think that in the case of Florida, I think you're going to get to it. I don't know that it'll affect them that much.
Well, we'll see what they say about that. But I think it's easy to say but hard to do. What's the most points you scored in a game?
38.
Whoa, 38?
Yeah,
Dude,
it wasn't.
You were a gunner. What do you mean 38?
It was my junior year. It was a preseason game, so it didn't really count. But it's 38.
I think mine was 8. 38. Would you like to shoot a jump shot from outside the 3?
Yeah, I mean, I like to shoot the 3.
I can tell you're a 3-point shooter.
Yeah,
shooters have a different mentality.
Yeah,
my late friend Augie Griner, who played at Florida, was a shooter. We used to kid him about how much he'd like to shoot. He said his own teammates guarded him getting off the bus. But shooters are different. Frazier is a shooter. If you remember, Billy Donovan told him, "Don't stop shooting." Now, even if you miss it, don't stop shooting. That sounds kind of crazy for a coach, doesn't it?
Right.
But Billy Donovan himself was a shooter.
He knows.
He understands you must not stop shooting because you miss your first 3 or 4.
Right. And as a shooter, the worst thing you can hear after missing 3 or 4 shots is your teammates just say, "Hey, maybe look, I was open over here. Maybe look, maybe don't shoot that." But as a shooter, your teammates are saying, "Hey, keep shooting, keep shooting."
Exactly.
And your coach is saying, "Keep shooting." You're going to have more confidence.
You're a shooter,
you're going to make the
shooting.
next read.
I love that about Donovan. Okay, so they asked him yesterday, and I'm reading from, giving credit, Kevin Brockway's piece and today's Star Banner and Gainesville Sun, about the background. To me, it sounds simple to say focus on the rim. Not as easy as it sounds. It sounds like you should just focus on the rim and shoot the basketball, but you can't help but see that background. If you're not used to it, it can throw you off. So how will Michael Frazier handle that? Frazier was quoted, "It doesn't really affect me at all. It doesn't bother me. It's still the same distance from the hoop." Now, if you go by their workouts yesterday, and I don't go by those. I don't care how good they look in the workout. It's not the game. But if you go by what they looked like yesterday, according to eyewitnesses, they both shot the basketball, the shoot-around Friday, extremely well. So Frazier is a 44.8, or actually a 45% shooter from three-point range. 45%. 46%. That might be decent just for a shooting percentage period for some people.
Yeah, without even being guarded in practice, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But in a game, that's tremendous.
45%. So he apparently he only got to shoot the ball so many times. And I'm trying to read the story to see. Did you see anything about did you see the Final Four activities? Did they have a three-point shooting contest or something?
No. From all I know, they just had the normal 50-minute practice.
Okay. Well, guess how many times a day you think that Michael Frazier shoots the basketball? What would you guess?
In a day?
Yeah, just practicing.
500 shots, maybe?
Right, 450 to 500. 350 to 400, actually, a day.
Yeah.
So, anyway, at the workout yesterday, they had a shoot-around, and apparently Billy Donovan was surprised and felt good, not surprised, pleased. And he said, our team, myself, we feel very confident when Michael is shooting the basketball. He said, like anything else, it's like a guy hitting a baseball. There are going to be nights when he shoots it at an unbelievably high level, and there are going to be some nights where maybe he doesn't shoot it well at all.
Well, buddy, I think Florida, in this matchup versus Connecticut, I think Florida has the advantage in terms of their shooting and being used to shooting in this type of arena because Florida played in the same arena last year in the Sweet 16 when they beat FGCU. Now, they've had a couple practices before that game last year. They have a couple practices before this Final Four game this year, and they played in the Georgia Dome in the SEC tournament, which is not as big, but it's still cavernous like this AT&T Center. And I think Florida has the advantage where UConn played in the Madison Square Garden for their conference tournament.
Great point. Ray Allen, could he shoot just a little bit? Ray Allen, you think?
Yeah, he can. I mean, every now and then.
Well, here's what he
shot.
said about Michael Frazier. They asked him. He probably saw him. He said, and actually, what they said to Frazier. Frazier modeled himself after Ray Allen, and Frazier said the reason he did was his work ethic, how much he invested in his shot, how seriously he takes it, and how he takes care of his body. And he said, obviously, he's a great shooter, one of the best of all time. So he models his game after the great Ray Allen. So consequently, let's we sit here and talk about it, and we get a little blinded by the orange and blue sometime, but we have to go outside to maybe occasionally for an outside source to get an opinion. And Joe Williams from Mile High Sports in Denver, who's a student of the game, never shy by offering his opinions. We talked to Joe yesterday about what he felt about Florida, and also got him to weigh in on Kentucky, Wisconsin. Here's what Joe Williams said about the Gators.
Yeah, you have to. I think I just go back to their defense, what they're doing. They've held the first four teams they've played in the tournament to at least 10 points below whatever they were averaging per game, and two of those teams scored more than 20 points under their average when they played Florida. And I just think the defense, when your shots are failing you, as sometimes happens, and now they're moving into those big giant arenas, where the background is the players really are not used to shooting in there. And when your offense and the shots aren't falling, you can rely on your defense and your rebounding, and that is exactly why Florida, I've got to like them over UConn to begin with. Their rebound margin is much better, and their defense is very good. I do like UConn's guards, and I like the fact that they take care of the basketball, and they don't throw it away. And UConn never expected to be in this spot. I never expected them to be. They were lucky to beat St. Joe's right off the bat, but that happens. I can remember back in 1997 in Arizona, the eventual winner. I think they were playing. It was South Alabama or something, and they had to go to double overtime or triple overtime, and they. Just to beat them in the first round, and they went on to win the title. So, I still like Florida. I like their chances against UConn, and then whoever it is, Kentucky or Wisconsin. Wisconsin, another team, by the way, that beat Florida a little bit earlier. But I still like Florida's chances, and it's been a good tournament. We've seen a lot of good games. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of these games come down to the last possession, and you have to rely on your defense, I think.
All right, Joe Williams is right. When you're not shooting the basketball well, your defense can really get it done for you. And we talk a lot about Florida. There's another game tonight, Kentucky, Wisconsin. Very interesting matchup for two reasons. A, if Kentucky gets through and plays Florida, it represents the opposite philosophies in how you handle your student athletes. The one and done theory versus sign them up. Billy Donovan says, I'd rather not have people here if they don't want to stay and they want to leave, go to the NBA. I think should go when they want to go. Bradley Beal left early after 2 years ago. It happens to him, but Calipari, of course, has made an art out of it.
By the way, Calipari made a comment yesterday. Instead of the one and done, he now wants you to call it the succeed and proceed.
Succeed, proceed. Well, he did say I said he was going to run. He was running from it now. He doesn't like this. I didn't make it up, he said. So succeed and proceed, what do you want to call it? And let's be honest about it, though. This is his game. I don't care what he says. This is what he says. Come and play a year. We'll get you to the NBA. I mean, look, if it works for you, fine. The question you'd like to believe, and it may not turn out that way, if Florida plays Kentucky, and that's not a given, by the way, then is it a real true test of the two theories? One where you have 4 seniors, one where you have almost all freshmen, a couple of sophomores in there, and what will happen? So I think that's going to be interesting, sort of a test tube for philosophies how to run a program. So, speaking of that game tomorrow night, Kentucky-Wisconsin, Kaminsky is a guy they're going to have to stop. Kentucky is. Here's what Joe Williams had to say about that matchup, which starts after I imagine that game will start about probably 9:30 or so tonight on CBS. So here's what Joe Williams said about the Kentucky-Wisconsin game.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it at all. And I think Wisconsin and Kentucky are going to Wisconsin's going to try and, make Kentucky play a game that in the 50s, that's where Wisconsin wants to play, 50s, low 60s, and if they do, then Wisconsin will probably win the game. If it's higher than that, then obviously that would be in Kentucky's favor. Wisconsin's going to want to force their will, and frustrate Kentucky. They want to get up and down, and Wisconsin, they'll come out and they'll pass the ball 3 times, 4 times, 5 times before they take a shot. So it's contrasting styles there, and that'll be part of the fun of it to see, who can bend the other to their will.
All right, there you go. So you like Kentucky's roster?
Of course, yeah. I mean, loaded with talent.
And the Harrison twins. Cauley Stein.
Julius Randle.
Randle is a beast.
Right.
Absolute beast. And now, just to be honest for a second, we proposed this theory earlier, that if Florida starters would go over to Kentucky, how many of those players could start for Kentucky? How many of Florida's players could start for Kentucky right now? I can tell you.
I would say 1, maybe 2.
Exactly, Matt Simmons. I think Scotty Wilbekin starts for them. I'm not sure Patrick Young. He's not going to knock their big guy out.
No.
Now, they'll find a way to get him in the lineup. And Patrick's a valuable player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not diminishing him at all. They're so talented in the paint already, though.
Right.
They got guys sitting on the bench who are great players.
Cauley Stein and Marcus Lee, I think both would beat out Pat Young.
I mean, just because of their mobility, their ability to shoot the ball, to defend, and whatever. And you love Patrick, but nonetheless,
right.
Who, by the way, as Billy Donovan has said, would have been a lottery choice his first year. So he would have been a lottery choice. So Patrick Young basically gave up a fortune to play college basketball, which is why you got to love the big guy. He is the most popular player by far on that team, and a guy who's been a great ambassador for basketball. Speaking of Cauley Stein, apparently they think he might play. He's been hurt.
Yes,
he sat out
he
last
came
time,
out and said he wants to play. I think he can play.
He might be playing this particular game. And also, one more note on basketball. After we come back, we're going to talk a little Masters golf. See what Tim Rosafort of NBC had to say about the game. It starts next week, Masters. Final Four coaches this year, guess how much in just bonus money they've earned? Just bonus money, not their salaries. They have earned $850,000 in bonuses this year. So it pays to win, my man. It pays to win. Big bonuses for the coaches.
Still more to come, obviously, if they win that championship.
Yeah. And did you hear about what allegedly Calipari did with the coffin in his for his team?
No.
This has not been confirmed, but he said it. I heard him say it. He said he laid down in a coffin, and his team walked in the room, and he popped up and said, "We're not dead yet." Now, I want to see that confirmed. He said that. Whether it was rhetoric or whatever,
right.
I don't know, but that's what he said.
It's always interesting to hear what coaches kind of do to get their team's attention.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Greg, get your point across, right? All right. It's Masters week. No Tiger, but lots of golf. We talked with some of the leading experts on it last week, including NBC's Tim Rosenfort. Coming up next, right here on the Saturday Sports Page with Austin's Statman Tatman, Buddy Martin on 1370 AM 96.3 FM WOCA, The Source.
You know, Austin, I'm sitting here at the computer looking at our Facebook page, and boy, we really need to tell more listeners about our Facebook page.
No, Tom. See, you got it all wrong. Twitter is the new age.
What's a tweeter?
No, a Twitter, Tom. The Voice of Ocala has a Twitter.
We do? Well, how do we tell our listeners about that?
All they have to do is get the Twitter app or go to twitter.com, type in Voice of Ocala in the search box, and click follow.
All right, well, what's the tweeter do?
The Voice of Ocala's Twitter page updates all of its followers on the latest news, guests, giveaways, and contests.
Oh, okay. But couldn't listeners just tune in weekdays from 3 to 6 to 1370 AM and 96.3 FM, or even go to online at WOCA.com? Wouldn't that be easier?
Yeah, okay, maybe.
Hi, this is Buddy Martin. If you have an award or a trophy in your house, there's more than a good chance it came from BJ Trophies Gifts and Awards. At BJ Trophies, Floyd Hirschberger and his staff have a lot more than just trophies. Among the items they specialize in are donor recognition walls and trees, personalized or engraved gifts, cast bronze dedication plaques, wide format digital printing with posters, banners, and signs, and promotional products. Floyd is the official trophy and awards maker for the Voice of Ocala radio show and is North Central Florida's leader in custom recognition programs, corporate awards, industrial engraving, unique gifts, and advertising specialties. When Angie Lewis went shopping for something to award to the winners of her State Farm Good Neighbor Award, she shopped first at BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Check them out at 1735 Northeast Jacksonville Road on North Magnolia's Miracle Mile, or call them today at 352-732-2249. BJ Trophies Awards and Gifts. Trophies is just our middle name. If you need a sign or a banner for your yard or your business or your campaign, I'd recommend you go to Signs Unlimited at 318 South Magnolia in Ocala. Screen printing, embroidery, digital graphics. Do what I did when we needed signs for the Save the Marion Theater Group. Go see Vic Buttermore at Signs Unlimited if you want quality work with a fast turnaround from somebody who is deeply committed to his community and always ready to assist you. There's a reason Vic's slogan is, "It's our business to make your business better." Sign up for Signs Unlimited. Call 732-7341 today.
This is Austin Tavern reminding you to stay in contact with us at WOCA. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Voice of Ocala. Make sure to become a friend of our Facebook page and call us at 622-9622.
Hi, I'm Angie Lewis. Let's talk every Tuesday afternoon on WOCA, the Voice of Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source. WOCA.
A fiery ring, bound by wild desire. I fell into a ring of fire. I fell in.
You got a Johnny Cash thing today, man.
Yes.
You're old school. When it comes to Charlie joining us in the background, my friend Charlie. Real quick, you wanted to tell a story, run out of time, about Billy Donovan teaching.
Yes, it's very similar to what Calipari did in that last segment that you mentioned. But it was after practice one day early in the season, Billy Donovan put a duffel bag right outside the court and asked, "Will you get? Hey, Will you go pick up that bag for me?" Will said, "Okay, sure, I'll go pick up the bag." It was a duffel bag. He went over and went to go lift it. What Will Uget didn't know was that Billy had put about 10 or 15 pounds of weights in the bag. So that when Will went over to pick it up, thinking it was just an empty duffel bag, picked it up, realized it wasn't as heavy, and couldn't pick it up all the way because he was surprised. And so Will picked it up, brought it back to Billy Donovan, and so Billy Donovan looked at him and said, "Now, when you went over there and picked up that bag, you thought it was going to be easy because there was nothing in it. It was just something that was going to be light, but it wasn't." And so he said, "Now this is kind of how this season's going to be. You think it's going to be easy. You think we're going to get on a roll, and it's not going to be what you think it is. It's going to be a lot harder than what you think it is." So that's kind of similar to what Calipari did with the team. He said, "We're not done yet." They're just doing like unique things to kind of grab the attention of their players and kind of put little things in the back of their brain to think of in the middle of the games.
Metaphors are great tools for teachers, for sure. All the Gators are starting to wear their colors. My friend Charlie's here with got his orange and blue shirt on, ready to go. And we'll give me a quick prediction, Charlie. I got about 10 seconds.
I'll say Gators by
Turn
7.
on his microphone. Hold on a second. Go ahead.
Gators by 7 is my...
7. You're going Gators by 7, not over UConn. How many points will Wilbekin get versus Napier?
I'll say Napier will probably score 20, 21 points, and I'd say Wilbekin equal or possibly more.
All right, there you go. Charlie. All right, we'll switch the subject over to golf now. We talked to our friend Tim Rosefort. Big week coming up with the Masters. Tim Rosefort at NBC about the upcoming Masters. Here's his comments. It's interesting. I've had some of your colleagues on the show, and we'll have more. Yesterday I had Bob Herrick, and I've got Ron Syrak coming up, some folks that you know quite well. And I've asked them all the same question about what the Masters is now without Tiger. But, Tim, you've been going up there for, I don't know, probably 35 years at least or so, covered it. I know you were a young puppy, and I remember when you first started. And this Masters, Tiger's huge, let's be honest. I mean, obviously, we know what it means to media and ratings and whatever, but the Masters will survive Tiger Woods.
I made that point on Morning Drive. You know, we've done so many shows, I lost track, but I think it was yesterday morning, and it was like I looked at all the Masters since Tiger won in 2005. I particularly looked at the last 5 or 6, and you know, you had some unbelievable finishes with Scott's win last year. You forget about that. You know, the putts that he makes in that situation. You think about just all the cool moments that have happened. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank now because I was just hitting some balls. I don't have the notes in front of me, but you know, they were all great. Kenny Perry's loss to Cabrera was another one that was pretty incredible, and the 4 birdies by Schwartz. You know, something that was unprecedented. And that was a crazy one. And Mickelson won in there as well. You know, so there's been a lot in it, even without Tiger winning it for, you know, almost a decade. It really, it's, you know, it never, buddy, look, you've been there a long time too. I mean, it's a spectacle just being on the property, and it always produces something. I mean, even if it's like Mike Weir beating Len Matisse, I mean, you remember it for some great things that Weir did, and from some heartbreak that happened to Matisse. That's usually what happens around here. But last year was different. It kind of transcended that, didn't it? I mean, with the way Cabrera handled that with so much class, and you know, the true sportsmanship showed through. And you know, he was a big winner in that as well. I think people started to appreciate him more, not only for his golf, for his personality and being a good guy.
You know, Cabrera's an interesting case to bring up because you talking about the body types. He looks like somebody that we heard of named Julius Boros or something, you know? He plays the game at the same speed. He doesn't wait. He just walks up, hits the ball, which as a golfer, you appreciate that. But look at the body, and you talk about the body types and all the young flat bellies, as Perino once called them, who work out, which I know you're one of. You look trim and fit. And all of them who eat right and all have their dietitians and they have their shrinks and whatever. And yet a guy like Cabrera can win, and a guy like Jack Nicklaus, who was not body beautiful, if you put his stats side by side with Tiger's, what amazes me is he won at least half of his events after age 32 with a not very pretty physique.
You know, I came away from this whole thing, and I was part of the ones who were saying that, you know, a big reason why Tiger's breaking down is because he was so fit and he overtrained. And, you know, I'm listening to physiotherapists and trainers and, you know, not just other sports writers who are sort of making this up or believing in it. And, you know, then I hang up the phone and I start to get a couple tweets, and I start to realize in some of my own reporting, I had Tom Bores, the back guy up in Georgia, say that when Fred Couples came in, he was like late 30s, the radiologist thought it was an 80-year-old man that they just put on the x-ray machine. And Freddie obviously wasn't one that trains like, you know, Olympic trains the way Tiger or Suzanne Pedersen do.
All right, Tim Rosefort, NBC, talking about the Masters. We want to hear from Bob Herrick of ESPN, who's admitted that it's going to be a different kind of Masters without Tiger. By the same token, the Masters is the Masters. Bob Herrick from ESPN earlier this week on the program.
With Phil with an oblique muscle that we don't know whether he's back from that or not. Now Tiger withdrawing from the Masters. Like you said, you write about Adam Scott, Matt Every, Patrick Reed. That doesn't hit the bell like when you write about Tiger. Is there, to the average casual golf fan, to me, the golf nut, the Masters is the coup de grace. But to the average golf fan, is there much to look forward to at this year's Masters now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of people, it's been 19 straight years of Tiger and 17 years since he won his first, and that was a huge boost to the tournament. I think the Masters is bigger than any player. I think it's still going to get plenty of attention. The golf course itself, the beauty, the fact that the winter's been so poor up north, people love tuning in and watching. Those factors will clearly still be there, and there'll be a lot of people that are interested. But I'm sure there's going to be some who just, with Tiger, it was appointment viewing. When was his tee time? All right, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in front of the TV when he's playing. There's going to be a segment that'll drop off because of that regardless. Now, also, I think there's an audience that tunes in on Sunday afternoon to watch to see who wins, no matter who's there.
All right, Bob Herrig didn't have time to all of that. Bob Herrig, Tim Rosefort. Earlier you heard from Matt McCall, Joe Williams. And tonight's the night. It's where are you watching the game, Austin?
At my house.
At your
in
house.
my quiet house.
There
yes.
you go. Well, you like a true basketball aficionado.
Yes,
So,
6:09 p.m. on TBS.
Yep. And I'll be watching the first half, headed out to the Silver Springs International Film Festival dinner tonight. Have a little designer food and
You'll be multitasking.
I'll be multitasking, and I'll probably have a DVR to come on and watch the second half. So,
there you go.
On behalf of my broadcast partner, the guy who's carried me for the last 3 days, Austin Statman, Amen Tatman, and for Tom Schmitz, I'm Buddy Martin. Have a great weekend, folks.